guys, it's Monica. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to be posting another video. I know it's been a long time, but I'm really excited to be posting videos again. Make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos in the coming weeks on peaceful parenting, healthy living, life with little ones, life with a baby, and just passing on any of my tips and tricks with you guys. So today's video is going to be all about Miss Willow's hypnobirth, or Hypnobabies birth. And this was my third Hypnobabies birth. So I feel like I've got a lot of different experiences because all of these births were so very different. Okay, so with Miss Willow, she actually came 2 days early, which was a huge shock to me because my first baby came 10 days late and my second baby came 3 days late. So I just, in my mind, was like, oh, well, this baby's coming late for sure. Then like towards the end when I had nothing ready, I was like, well, maybe, I should probably get some things together. So probably maybe a week before she was born, I finally got stuff together. Like we put the car seat in like probably less than a week before she was born and set up her bed, like the little co-sleeper in our room around the same time. It was kind of like, okay, well, there's no guarantee this one's coming late. So anyway, she ended up coming at 39 and 5, like I said, so 2 days early. And I started just kind of like have a feeling that she was going to be coming soon. Towards like that last week, I was kind of like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this one's going to come early. And then she did. So I actually went into the birthing time. It was a Sunday night, and it was actually like the full blood moon or the wolf moon or something. And my second baby was actually born the night after the full moon. So I was like, maybe this is going to come. And actually, she did. And so that night I was feeling a lot of contractions, waves, and I feel this a lot, like in the end of my pregnancy. I can actually feel like Braxton Hicks from like 6 or 7 weeks. Like I said, I feel like every moment of pregnancy, and so I was feeling, these practice contractions or whatever, and then sometimes towards the end it starts to get more regular and it starts to get more intense. So then I kind of have to really like pay attention, like, is this it? Is this not it? And so that night it was kind of like, okay, I think this might be it. And I told my husband, and we had like a few nights before I was kind of having them as well, and I was like, well, I'm not sure. But this time by about midnight I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. He's like, well, do you know? I'm like, well, I can't say like 100% because I guess I just don't know that, but I was definitely feeling like this is probably the night. And so I had him call his sister, my sister-in-law, because she was going to come over and watch the other 2 kiddos, and that was about 12:20-ish. So I had actually laid down. I was like, well, I'm not going to go into labor tonight because I haven't slept yet, so I need to go to sleep, obviously. So that didn't work out because I laid down and I was like, I'm just going to try to, get a few hours of sleep in. And then as soon as I laid down, I realized that wasn't going to work out. I was going to have to get up because I needed to get on my ball. I kind of like that where I'm on my knees and then I have my hands over the ball like this. That's just like a comfortable position for me. And so I was like, well, I guess I gotta get on my ball. So then once it's like I know I can't lay down and sleep, that's when I know that, yeah, this is definitely gonna be it. And so then in between contractions, I'm like finishing packing up because there's like a few odds and ends that needed to go into the hospital bag. And when I'd have a wave, I would just come and get on my ball and work through that one, and then I would quickly try to get up and get ready. So I like had to comb my hair. I put on a little bit of makeup even though it was the middle of the night because I was like, I want to look like just completely, oh, Miss Willow waking up a little bit. So yeah, I wanted to just, do something with my face and with my hair and just kind of get ready for the hospital. And my contractions actually never ever get like super regular when I'm in labor. That's just what my body does. So some of them were like 2 minutes apart, some of them were like 8 minutes apart, some of them were 5 minutes apart, but they were all, it was pretty consistent as far as knowing that it's the time. And they were all like within 8 minutes, and some just much faster than others. So my sister-in-law showed up about 1 a.m. and once she was here, I was just relieved, and then I could go when it was time, and then when I was ready, because I was just like worried about having a car baby, which I didn't really need to be worried about because it ended up being the longest labor ever. So then finally we got everything together. Had Tad take all of our stuff down to the car, and then he came back up and helped me, and we got to the car. And then I was really actually happy because I only had 3 waves contractions while I was in the car on the ride there. And I was very worried about traffic because I live in LA and I'm kind of far from the hospital. It can be like an hour if the traffic's bad, but since it was the middle of the night, luckily there was no traffic, so it was about a 20-minute drive, and I only had 3 waves during that time, and they were all very manageable, and I just had my Hypnobabies tracks going. I guess I should rewind. As soon as it started, I put on my birthing day affirmations track, and I love that track. It's really helpful in just like helping me relax and stay positive and not like get freaked out at all. So that's the one I was listening to the most. I just kind of had that one on repeat. And I think I waited till I got to the hospital to start my, not the affirmation tracks, but the birth guide. We arrived at the hospital at 2:30, and I just had my headphones in the whole time, and I just stayed kind of in my bubble of peace. I kept my light switch to the middle. I pretty much had my light switch in the middle the whole time. I don't like to have the light switch all the way off. And if you don't do Hypnobabies, it's like when it's off, you're not like moving, and when it's in the middle, then you can move around, but you still have like your deep relaxation and your no anesthesia. And so I kept it in the middle that whole time, and then if I ever had a wave, I would just close my eyes and listen to my tracks and just kind of focus on relaxing and working through that wave. Are you okay, sweetie? So I had my headphones in, and then just to answer questions, if I was still having wave, I would just kind of put up a finger. Tad would tell them that she's working through a wave, and then she'll answer when she's done. I went to the triage room, and the waves were coming, and they were intense, but nothing like unmanageable. And then when they checked me there, I was already at 6, and so I was admitted, and then I ended up being in this triage room for a while. It seemed like a long time, because it was like the bed was much smaller than the regular like laboring beds, and so I like had my ball on there, but I was just not very comfortable. So that was not the most comfortable situation. But then we got moved over to the L&D room. In L&D, I just put on my birth guide track, and I just had my headphones in, and I was working through it. I was on the ball on the floor, kind of leaning over the bed. That was the position that I liked. So this was early Monday morning at like 3, 4 a.m. and I hadn't slept since Saturday, and so I basically have missed this whole night of sleep. So my body was like exhausted. I was so tired. Poor Tad was so tired too. He was like, we were both falling asleep in between my waves just because I was so tired, and my body was just like not wanting to have it. So I did put in my birth preferences that I wanted to eat, and I discussed that with my doctor. So I did, I ate a banana, I ate a granola bar, I had some honey, I made some labor aid, and so I was doing all this just to kind of give myself energy, because I could just feel myself just like not lasting, because I was just so tired. This went on for a couple of hours where I was just kind of like really tired and working through the waves. So again, they came in at 6 o'clock and checked me, and I was at 7:30. And so at this point I'm like, oh great, she's gonna be out soon with my second baby. Once I was at 7:30, I went to 10 within like 20 minutes. So I thought, of course, well, that's gonna happen now. It's probably gonna be even sooner because my third baby, and it's just gonna be so much easier. And then, kept going, but I wasn't really feeling like that urge to push or anything like that yet, or like the pressure that you start to feel like once you're complete, when it's time to push, there's like a certain like constant pressure even in between contractions that you feel, and I wasn't really feeling that. So I was like, okay, what's going on? Then they came back in and checked me at 7:30, and I was still at 7:30 to 8, and my water was still intact. My water is just never going to break on its own, is what I kind of concluded. I was still at the same place, and I wasn't discouraged at this point because I was so very tired, and literally my body just took a break at this point, and my contractions like got lighter, and they spaced out to like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I was actually able to get a little bit like windows of sleep for like 10 minutes at a time. My body just like knew that I needed this little bit of a break to kind of just re-energize. It wasn't very restful, but enough to get some sleep in. And then Tad was like on the little like chair couch thing, falling asleep, and he was like, I'd be like, okay honey, there's another one coming, and I was like half asleep, and he would just like wake up real quick, and I was having like back pain, so I was like needing that like counter pressure, so he would come over and do that, like trying to stay awake. At one point I think he fell asleep standing up. It was like, really? I've been in labor here and you're falling asleep? But it was hard. Between 10:30 and 11, they started to pick back up, and they got a lot stronger, and I was starting to feel like I needed to push a little bit. We were trying different positions, and I was kind of doing the squatting position, and I was kind of feeling like we need to push, and they checked me again, still 7.5 to 8. They're saying that the cervix was very stretchy. So basically at this point, the only thing that was holding her up was the water, and my doctor's like, if we break the water, it'll probably be complete really quickly, and that's probably what's holding her up. So I was a little concerned, because I was like, well, the waves have gotten really intense at this point, and I was like, well, if I break the water, it's gonna be like head, and it's gonna be, there's not that cushion there to like make it easier. And so I was really concerned about breaking the water, and I just really wanted to get complete first and then break the water so that she could just come out, because that's what happened on my second baby. they broke the water. I was already 10 and she literally came out within 2 minutes. And so I was trying to wait for that point, but like after hours of just being at 7.5 to 8, I was tired and I was just like, okay. So I was like, all right, like, give me a minute to like wrap my head around this so that I can like mentally prepare to like, get through this. So then the doctor comes in at 11:20, still the same, 7.5 to 8, and he broke the water at this point and didn't get more intense. And I was like, really? I should have done this 6 hours ago so that I would have already had my baby. Because it was still, I mean, it was crazy intense, but it was the same intensity as before. And so I was just like, kind of like kicking myself that I didn't just like do it earlier. But it's all like hindsight's 20/20, and you just kind of get through and do what you do, and I just didn't know. So anyway, he breaks the water about 11:20, and then within 40 minutes, I was 9.5 to 10 with just a little bit of the cervical lip, and it was time to push. This is the part that I had to do like the fear clearing sessions about and like the whole bubble of peace thing, because with my daughter, even though it was like 2 to 3 minutes of pushing, it was just like so intense and so painful. And so I was just really worried about this, and my body this time didn't have like the urge to push, but the waves were so intense I just really wanted her out. So I was like, okay, if I can push, I'm gonna start pushing. And I was just like, I just need this to be over. This has been 12 hours. I need to go to sleep, even though I wasn't gonna get any sleep, but I just need this to be, I need this to be completed at this point. I'm going to be honest with you, if you were doing Hypnobabies, just put on your bubble of peace. You know, everybody's experience is their own, but for me, Hypnobabies works amazing well, like during the relaxation part of it. Like it's still very intense, but like for the pushing part, I just feel like Hypnobabies just goes out the window for me. Like there's no more relaxation because you're pushing, and I don't feel any hypno anesthesia. So for me at this point, I have the track on in the background, but it's super intense and very painful, and it's just like, oh, I just need this to be over. And so we did the big push, and I'm just like, I'm a visual person, so I'm like, is she in the birth canal? Like, where is she? Like, how soon is this gonna be? Like, is she gonna be out? I actually had requested a mirror, and I know that's not for everybody, but for me, like I said, it's really helpful for me to be able to visualize what's going on. And so I have the mirror there, and so we probably did, like I said, like 5 or 6 really big pushes to get her out. And I wanted to do mother-directed pushing, but I also wanted some help and assistance to kind of avoid tearing, and just, you know, if that's possible. With my second, it wouldn't have been possible. My body just pushed her up. And then I had also requested that I wanted to try to catch the baby, but in the moment, it was like, I can't do anything different than what I'm doing right now. And so I was kind of like holding on to something, and I was like, I wanted to be able to pull her out and like that whole moment, but just did not work out for me. And then finally I pushed her out and I put her on my chest, and it was just like, like that whole time that I was pushing, it was literally like I felt like I was drunk, like, or so I was on something, because all these hormones and everything, and I was like loopy, and it just, for not, you know, having any medication or doing anything, it was like I was in an altered state of mind 100%. And so she came out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, my baby, I can't believe I have another baby. And it was like this totally emotional moment. It was like that whole euphoria that you hear about and that you feel, and it was just amazing. And like literally the 4th thing I said, I was like, I'm so glad this is my last baby and I never have to do this again. So it was like this whole mix of emotions, but I was just like so glad that I had her and I never had to do this again. And then of course, like 3 days later, I'm like sitting at home, like holding my baby, and I'm like, oh, maybe I do want another one. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I was 100% sure done having babies, this is the last one. It was so hard at the end, and then it's like a few days later, well, maybe it's not so bad, I could do it again. Anyway, I'm still like 99% sure that this is my last baby, but there's still that little bit of me that's like, I don't know. So anyway, she came out, and I put straight to skin to skin. There's this awesome video. It's called the breast crawl, and so you just like put the baby on your chest like right after, and then the baby literally like crawls to the breast and like latches on by themselves. And so I kind of let her do that, and she latched on. She was latched on for probably 45 minutes total. No issue with breastfeeding from the start. So I highly recommend that skin to skin, and then letting them kind of find their way to the breast. They say like that first 30 minutes to an hour is really important for breastfeeding. So I really wanted to make sure that that happened. So yeah, everything was great. I feel so just happy and blessed to have like 3 healthy children and get through this birth and the Hypnobabies, like I said, was really helpful. The 2 tracks that I listened to the most were the birthing day affirmations, which I think I like that one even better than like the birth guide, but I would listen to both of them, just kind of toggling between. If one wasn't working for me, I'd switch to the other one. But I basically had those headphones in the whole time. In the beginning, I think it helps a lot, the relaxation, to decrease any sort of discomfort, but as it, as it gets more intense, it was uncomfortable. It got really uncomfortable towards the end and the pushing phase, but it's really helpful in keeping your body relaxed enough so that it can do what it needs to do. So this is Willow. She's like such a sweet little baby. I love the newborn period in the beginning. It's just like all snuggles and no sleep and all of it, but I luckily have lots of help. So I'm going to be posting videos about how to get through those first couple of weeks, how to get through the first month, all my tips and tricks from having 3 babies, and some newborn essentials, just kind of like the minimalist of what you need or what's been helpful to me. Please leave comments below. Let me know any videos you guys would like to see as far as newborns or peaceful parenting or whatever, and also any questions that you have. Oh, she's smiling for you. So again, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. And if you're planning Hypnobabies or Hypnobirth or have any hypnobirthing related questions, let me know in the comments. Like I said, I definitely subscribe to the Hypnobabies method of preparation, because even if you go in expecting to get an epidural, even if you have no need for a natural birth, it still helps to prepare you, because there is going to be a period where you're going to be going through it before you can get an epidural, and sometimes the epidural doesn't work, but it gets you in a great state of mind, and it really eliminates a lot of fear around birth, and just like helps. That relaxation technique is just, it's golden, not just for birth, but just like in life. Let me know if you guys are planning Hypnobabies birth too, or if you've had a Hypnobabies birth, what your experience was, because I really like this program. I think it's really helpful. Like I said, it's not, this was definitely not a painless or easy childbirth. It was a very long and intense childbirth, and I did have a lot of discomfort towards the end there, but definitely helpful, and definitely something that if I were to have another baby, I would 100% use Hypnobabies again. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.